Thank you very much. To have such three terrific people, both Fred Lawrence, Robert Satlof, and Herb London with us is indeed extraordinary, and we appreciate it. In the presence of the ambassador, I want to give each of you a 30-second closing point, if I may. Robert?
In the presence of the ambassador, I just want to compliment the ambassador because he made.
Is there a tape?
You can do this tape.
Tape roll.
Because the basic point that I thanked Colonel Kemp for, namely reminding us that even that while Lord Balfour was the high point, that 20 years later the Brits had a less noble experience vis-a-vis the Jews. The same point, a bit more diplomatically, was made by Ambassador Dermer, with the British ambassador standing next to him in the home of the British ambassador at what was perhaps the only official British governmental celebration of the Balfour centenary in the world. But yet that did not prevent him from making subtly nuanced but directly the point that let's not forget in this moment of celebration that times change, and that people who are friends one day, years later, can have a different persona. And so that, I want to thank you for courageously making that point at that moment.
Thank you. Herb, 30 seconds.
Look, Bob made the point, and I think a valid one. History doesn't move in a straight line. I had the opportunity to spend some time with President Sisi. And President Sisi said at the time, I'm now spending more time chatting with the Prime Minister of Israel than I am with members of my own parliament. What you're now finding is Israel and Egypt have cooperated in fighting the war in the Sinai, with the Israelis providing their Apaches to engage in this struggle. So there is no doubt that there's a change occurring. And with the Crown Prince in Saudi Arabia, who I've also had the opportunity to chat with, it is very clear that there are changes occurring in Saudi Arabia that I think could have a very salutary effect on Israel as well.
And thank you. And the closing word, Fred Lawrence.
Closing word. So Louis Brandeis taught us that to be a good American, you have to be a better Jew. But the real punchline for us today is that to be a better Jew, we all have to be Zionists. The fact that he was prepared to say that and to find his way through to that, I'm thinking of a American Jew from Florida who finds his way into other service. And if I may speak personally, my son, who is an NYU law grad, finds himself clerking on the Israeli Supreme Court. The answer is he has plans for us we don't always understand. And I think that Louis Brandeis, who would not have called himself a religious man, was a deeply Jewish man. And when he looked in the mirror, what he saw looking back at him was only recognizable as a world Jewish leader.
Thank you.